Welcome to another edition of Wings Weekly. Jay Kleinknecht here, along with, of course, head coach Scott Langer. And coach, before we start talking about games, obviously a huge night Saturday night as you became the winningest coach in all of the North American League history with 603 wins. Has it sunk in? How does that feel?
Yeah, no, it hasn't really sunk in, I guess. I'm such a day-to-day guy, and the important part was obviously the boys and winning those games and having them be happy. But you just think back like so many years and how it all started, and what so many people had to sacrifice for me in order to help me be successful. So I'm obviously really proud of that, but I'm also proud of all the players that have helped me get to that point, and obviously my family and Tiffany and just everybody that's kind of put up with all that goes along with having to sacrifice in order to win that amount of games. So, but it was a great event, and I was really surprised about how everybody reacted, and the Odies and Tiffany and all you guys with the nice video and all that stuff. So I really appreciate all that.
Well, it's hard, and that was funny because speaking of the video, there were a handful of people in there that actually said, sit back and enjoy this, take it in, because it's not every day that an event like that happens. And I can't think of anybody other than you that is the winningest of anything of any kind of league. So it's just kind of, when you stop and think about the achievement itself, it is pretty monumental, that is for sure. And it was great to be able to celebrate it like that. One of my favorite parts was that the stands, everybody stayed. I kept looking back up at the stands, and I was just amazed at everybody that stayed and just showed their appreciation for you too. I had a fan actually ask me to ask a question of you, and I thought it was pretty interesting. Obviously, with 603 in the books, do you remember number 1? Who was it against, if so? The very first win for head coach Scott Langer.
I don't remember. I would have to go back and look that up. That goes far back.
That's a long ways back. Yep, that's for sure.
I know it was in Santa Fe, New Mexico. I know that. I don't remember who it was against.
Okay, well, like you said, that's a long time ago, and like Greg said, you're a relatively young coach as coaches go. A lot of milestones and wins to come your way, no doubt. To the game on Friday night, if we could start with that one, a 4-1 win. Kind of like what you expected. We talked earlier in the week. Bismarck's going to come in and play hard, and they're an emotional team, and it was pretty tight for a while there. And then you guys kind of broke it open a little bit. What were your thoughts on Friday night's game?
Yeah, we certainly really had to work hard. I didn't feel like our legs were there both nights, really. And I guess you have to expect that coming off a break and having limited time to prepare for the two games. But the positive is we found a way, and those games could have went either way. Yeah. You got to throw in guys like the Payton Matsui, who came up just huge for us this week, and Jake Seibel's performance again in that, when we really needed him, he was there. Spencer Schneider had, 4 assists on the weekend. And just some of those guys that, you get into our depth, and our depth helped us win 2 games against a really good team. And you're right, Friday night those guys came out, and obviously in, I would say, the first 6 minutes, they really pinned us in pretty good and didn't let us breathe. Yep. So we had to weather the storm, and we did that. And then obviously our third period was pretty good, and we were able to get some separation.
Well, and you mentioned it with Seibel making key saves at key times, especially this first half, I suppose, of the Friday night game. As you mentioned, Bismarck was on their toes. They just came off a win versus Minot on Thursday. They spent a lot of time in zone, and Jake really came up with some monster saves over the whole weekend, as you mentioned. Saturday, a game that I felt, and I kept saying it, but it felt kind of chaotic for the first 10 minutes or so, and then kind of seemed to settle in. The Wings kind of seemed to, go, okay, we know. And I kept wondering, it's all speculation, I guess, but if maybe there wasn't a little bit of extra emotion in that game, because they knew the importance of it. They knew they wanted to win that game for you. in front of the home crowd, and maybe the little bit more excitement, and then it kind of, you know, like I said, kind of settled in. You think that's kind of off the wall, or did you kind of?
I don't know. Like, I didn't know that any of them knew about it. I didn't know all the stuff was going on behind the scenes.
Oh, okay.
So, you know, my approach was no different than any other game. You know, we knew we had to take points. We were at home, and we were playing a team that, in the end, we're going to be fighting in the standings with.
Yep.
But probably right. You know, those. You know, we're a pretty good family here, and we all love one another. And I'm sure they knew the importance of that game for me and my family. And they went out there, and you were right. The first period, it was 2 periods. The first period, it was the first 10 minutes where we chased the game, and then there was the second 10 minutes where we kind of put the pressure on them and tipped the rink a little bit, which led up to a decent second period. And obviously, the way we scored our goals, we went to the net. We were hard, and we had to play in the tough areas to get our goals. And you know, again, we end up winning that hockey game, and it was just a fantastic night.
Absolutely. And again, Seibel, I know there was a moment in the second period where I think he made 3 saves in about 6 seconds, and he's diving, sprawling, and I just was you know, pretty astounding saves at a couple of different times. So again, it was huge. And as you said, Matsui crashing the net, getting a rebound, getting 2 goals in that game, and we'll talk with him in just a little bit here too. Swept Minot standings, as you mentioned. Now Aberdeen with 34 points, 17 games played. Minot 19 points, 18 games played. Bismarck 18 points, 20 games played in third. Austin in fourth with 10 points and 11 games played. St. Cloud 6 points, 10 games played. And the Minnesota Wilderness have been idle. They have 3 games played and have 3 points. Up next, a weekend off, and then St. Cloud. So another situation where you kind of have this extended period, except it's a little different in the sense that you're not sending them home for the holiday. But do you give them a little extra time off, or do you stay with the grind?
No, I think they got their time off. Christmas break was, you know, they got that time off. I think it's extremely important that we work on our game for the next 2 weeks. Prepare for St. Cloud, who handed us a loss in our building. And we need to be a little angry about that. We need to prepare the right way, and you know, there's things we need to work on. Obviously, coming out of break, it's surfaced against Bismarck. So, you know, we'll have fun. We'll have fun week, but we're gonna continue to prepare and find a way to get better and utilize this off weekend to get better, and hopefully that shows when we play St. Cloud. All
right. Well, we're at the halfway point essentially, and every year I talk to you about the build of a team or the identity of a team about this time of year, because it usually takes about this long before you start to kind of see what it's all about. This year, you know, as we talked about with the transition game and everything, it seemed like it happened a lot faster. But what would you say the identity is? I mean, obviously work ethic, the family mentality, all of those things that are always a part of your teams, but it feels like there's a little bit of a difference in this team.
You know, I think there's a lot of leadership, that's for sure, because we are an older team this year. We went older, and with that comes some guys that have really been around the game and have done a great job being leaders. But I mean, when you do look at the games and when we're not having the results, we're not working hard. But as soon as we flip that switch and the work ethic shows up that we're capable of, we haven't found a team that can compete with us. And our team does work hard, and they need to be reminded of it quite often, and they remind themselves of it. But again, in a 60-game schedule, it's not easy to go every single night. And but you know, this is a special team. This is a team that's 17-1 right now, and the last time we lost, it bothered us, and that was the big thing. I wanted as a coach that when we did, you know, eventually you're going to find a way. Something's going to happen, and you're going to get beat. That's just how it is in junior hockey, but I wanted our guys to be able to respond. And you know what? They went home from break, they came back, they refocused, and they beat a very good team at Bismarck, and now they get the opportunity to prepare for 2 weeks for a team that handed us and spoiled our record. And my opinion is we need to take it out on them.
No doubt that the guys will be ready for that game for sure, because as you said, you know, there were some hurt feelings in the locker room. A lot of guys didn't take well to that. And like I was saying at the broadcast that night, after winning 15 straight, or in 2018, 2019, and 19 straight, you almost forget what it feels like to lose. You know, it's like, oh, that's right. This is no fun. Yeah. All right, Coach. Well, I appreciate you coming on the show, and of course, again, congratulations on what I can't overstate what a monumental event it is, an achievement that it is to win that 603rd game and now become the all-time winningest coach in North American Hockey League history, and you'll continue to make that gap, I guess, even more, no doubt. So congratulations again.
Make it hard to catch.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. Make it hard to beat. All right. So once again, thanks for coming on, and we'll continue on with the second portion of Wings Weekly coming up after this.
Your bird dog deserves a great hunt.
Let's go. Let's hunt some birds.
So do you. This season, hunt in Aberdeen, South Dakota, America's premier pheasant hunting destination. Experience the flush. Experience the rush of wild birds in wild places. Create your hunt of a lifetime this season in Aberdeen, South Dakota.
Welcome back as we continue on with Wings Weekly, and as promised, joining me in the second portion, as usual, a player, but this time it's Payton Matsui of Lakeville, Minnesota. How are you today?
I'm doing good. How about yourself?
Not too bad. Well, a big win, obviously, Saturday night for the team and for Coach Langer, but with you getting 2 goals in that game, and right now with 10 goals overall, 12 assists. Wanted to talk, well, we'll get to that. I'm getting ahead of myself. Before we get to your role kind of on this team and that work ethic and everything, because I'm going to get to that because it's pretty evident. I wanted to get a little bit about your start in hockey. When did you first start playing?
Yeah, so obviously growing up in Minnesota, you're always around it, and seeing my neighbors play either in the street or on the ponds, I've always wanted to play. And I still remember the first time my dad brought me out to the park nearby, and I ate it, fell on my head, and I definitely remember crying, but that didn't stop me. I just fell in love instantly, and yeah. Well, here we are now.
It's a story that is echoed many times by many players. A young start and an instant passion for the sport. How about your journey here? Like, how did you get? I mean, obviously, we know that you came from the BCHL with the Merritt Centennials, spent some time there. How does that happen? Where do you go as you're getting older and you decide, okay, I'm going to go play juniors, and then you go to the BCHL? How did you get to become an Aberdeen Wing?
Yeah, so during the summer, I wasn't planning on going back to Merritt, so Langer and Coach Hill definitely expressed their want for me and to come here, and I think with being committed to Alaska, obviously it's a pretty big feeder school from Aberdeen, and they expressed that there's no other place they'd want me to be, and I can definitely say that I'm happy with my decision, and there's no other place I'd rather go. Excellent.
Let's get to an interesting point, I guess, that because Alaska Fairbanks, you're right, there's been a lot of Wings that have gone to Alaska Fairbanks, and for them to have some input there is kind of interesting. Of course, Thomas Banty was with you in the BCHL with Merritt, right?
Right. So
did that kind of play into a role too?
Yeah, it was funny because we were both line mates last year, and he was expressing to me like, hey, like, where should I go? And I was saying Aberdeen, and he signed a tender, and then the next day I was drafted here. So it was kind of like fate that we'd play again with each other.
Nice, very cool. Well, you mentioned Alaska Fairbanks, and you know that decision before you actually came here, which is usually kind of the other way around. What was it about Alaska Fairbanks that made you go, you know what, that's the right fit for me?
The coaching staff is just completely genuine with everything they say. They're just a grade A, just everything they do. It's just I felt comfortable with them right away, and it was a very easy decision for me to make.
Good to know, because that can be a tough one for sure. How about your family? You know, you mentioned your dad getting you started skating and stuff. Do you have any brothers and sisters? Obviously, there's always a hockey mom that's you know, that's running kids to practice and stuff.
Right. Yeah, I've one sister who's a freshman in college right now, and obviously my mom's just completely supportive of everything I do, which is unbelievable, and just a great family atmosphere.
Good to know. Like I said, you can never thank the hockey moms enough, because they do a lot, right, from meal preparation to hauling kids around, whatever it might be. You know, I always say that hockey's a small world. It seems like many players have played against or with someone on another team or whatever it might be. You know, they know each other from somewhere. But one thing I've noticed about you is that you seem to know someone on every team, and after a game you're out talking with them on the ice, or in the hotel in Bismarck you're talking with St. Cloud players, and how does that happen? I mean, is it just you're that friendly of a guy?
So off ice, yes. On ice, no. So like the backstory with that is just growing up. Like hockey's a small world. You know, growing up, you know almost everyone, and obviously St. Cloud's in Minnesota, so I know a lot of guys on there. But I think growing up, I was always on different teams. Like I played for a Madison team, I played for a team in Des Moines, and it was just obviously the state of hockey. You kind of grow up playing with everyone throughout the ranks, and you cross paths wherever, and it's just nice to see like where everyone's doing and how they're doing.
For sure. It's an interesting point, though, that you know when you are playing at different locations and stuff, you're going to have an opportunity to you know see and play with different players. Like I mean, it's like you think about it, if like say you're from Aberdeen and you're an Aberdeen Cougar high school player, you're playing with that same group your whole life pretty much, and you know, but it's a little different in a situation like your guys'. We talked a little bit, you know, about, well, and you just mentioned off-ice nice guy, not so much on the ice, but I've mentioned, and I know Coach Langer has on multiple occasions too, your work ethic, because I know that I can just tell sometimes when guys are just giving it their all. You can just see that they have another gear that they found, and you're one of those guys that you see that happen quite a bit, and Coach Langer has mentioned that as well, that you just have a motor that doesn't quit. Where does that come from?
I think it's just something to prove. There's no point in doing something if you don't do it 100%.
Right.
And especially now coming up to St. Cloud, knowing those guys, like you get those chirps after, like you get those texts that kind of eat at you, and you just want to prove something.
Right.
And I think just I'm never satisfied. That's the biggest thing, and I've talked to Langer about it. That he said to enjoy the wins, and like him, I can't really enjoy the wins because there's always something to improve on, and I feel like I'm never satisfied.
It's interesting that you bring that up because, like Coach just said, he is a day-to-day guy. You know, one goal, achieve it, and then on to the next one. You know? So that's a trait, I guess, that not everybody can say that they have. I mean, that's definitely a trait that makes for a successful person, I guess, is what, you know, no matter what it is. I mean, if you're talking business, if you're a teacher or whatever it might be, you're going to work that much harder. You're going to have an advantage. That's all there is to it. All right. We just got done with the holidays. Christmas in the books, New Year's in the books. What's your favorite holiday?
Interesting. Definitely 4th of July.
Yeah? Yeah,
just being with my buddies on the lake, and just the whole atmosphere of just America. I just love it.
It's a common theme here. That's, I think, the third player this year that has said 4th of July, and I think every other year it's always been Christmas. So it's kind of interesting. I don't think in particular, like you said, being on the lake and the fireworks and everything like that, is there any tradition or anything that you guys have that you look forward to? Any, like maybe a badminton tournament or, you know, whatever it might be?
I guess I've been fortunate to go up to my buddy's cabin where they throw fireworks that they host. So they're just spectacular every year, and it's just a huge event.
Okay. You mentioned St. Cloud, and obviously they're the only team that have beaten the Aberdeen Wings this year, and it never even really occurred to me that there might be some texts and stuff afterwards that would rub a little salt in the wound, so to speak. What do you have to do? I mean, you've got a week off, and like Coach said, you know, it's not going to be laying around sitting on the couch. I mean, it might be a little bit of fun or a little bit of different work that is going on at practice and stuff. But what do you see as a team? What do you have to do to, well, I don't want to say revenge, but avenge maybe that loss to St. Cloud?
Yeah, I think everybody's just got to buy into not grabbing onto the coattails and just coasting. I think everybody's got to play hard, and I think it comes down to not relying so much on Seibel, because obviously he's #1 in the league right now, and there has been those saves where you're like, wow, that's crazy. How does he make that? And we gotta not only for him, because that's got to be stressful, but we got to make sure that we're taking off load from him, and good defense always creates a good offense.
Part of that transition game that the Wings have done so well. All right, final question for you here. Would you rather be able to fluently speak every language in the world or be able to speak with animals?
I would definitely say speak any language in the world, just because, I mean, one, job opportunities, but two, you could literally go to any country and just talk with the people and learn their culture.
Good point. All right. Well, that's really about all I've got for you, Payton. I appreciate you coming on the show, though, and a great win there Saturday night, and congratulations on a couple of big goals and big wins over the weekend, and obviously helping with that big achievement for Coach Langer, too.
Thank you.
Well, folks, Friday and Saturday, January 7th and 8th, the Wings are off. Back in action Friday and Saturday, January 15th and 16th. Against St. Cloud here at home. The 15th is a new home date. St. Cloud is a new home opponent for both games. Friday and Saturday, January 22nd and 23rd versus Fairbanks. More information is coming on those games. Wednesday, January 27th, home versus Minot. That game was originally scheduled for Tuesday, February 23rd, but again, it will be played on January 27th. Friday and Saturday, January 29th and 30th. The Wings are off once again, and then we'll keep updating and adjusting the schedule as the season goes along. Get your tickets at AberdeenWings.com, tickets.AberdeenWings.com. $10 general admission tickets are also on sale now at any of the 4 Sea Express locations in Aberdeen with additional purchase. They won't be on sale obviously until next week, but corporate night sponsorships are available for home games throughout the 2020 and 2021 season. Call Aaron at 605-380-5852 for more information. Don't forget, Wings Weekly is now a podcast. Find the audio for this season's episodes on Spotify, Stitcher, or iHeartRadio. And for all the latest news and information on the Wings, visit AberdeenWings.com or follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and on Instagram. Once again, Payton Matsui, thanks so much for coming on Wings Weekly with us.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
All right, folks, that's pretty much going to wrap up this week's Wings Weekly.